All right, guys, it's been a little bit. I'm back. We are back to business. Well, I'm getting back to business. You may have gathered that we are in the car wash, and that is because we have had a string of crazy weather. Snow, and then rain, and then snow with icy drizzle on top of the rain, and some ice and some more snow, and so on and so forth. And my car is completely salt ridden. Thankfully they put the salt on the highways and roads here. Couldn't go on without it, but it wreaks havoc on the car. So Hamish is here enjoying the view of the relaxing spa going on outside of the time machine mobile here. We are going to go on an adventure. It's about a 30-minute drive, so we'll see you in a second. Here we are at the Manchester airport. Don't get too excited. We are not going anywhere quite yet. And to tell you the truth, I haven't utilized the Manchester airport in many years. I actually haven't flown in or out of it since we've moved here. Only in years past been visiting, and only twice because they just don't have enough darn flights. So we always end up going in and out of Boston Logan, which honestly sucks. Everybody knows Logan sucks. It's got serious issues. It's not big enough for the city that it's in. The parking is horrible. So on and so forth. But Manchester, very, very nice. We did just receive the awesome news that JetBlue is at Manchester Regional Airport. Unfortunately, they are currently only flying to and from a couple locations in Florida. Lots of people live here and also live in Florida or vacation in Florida. Looking at all the snow on the ground, you can see why that might be an attractive option. But hopefully in the future, because we do prefer flying JetBlue, I like that they're Airbuses. We have points with them. They're just a nice airline. I've never really had too many issues with them. So hopefully they start to add more flights to Manchester on JetBlue. But yeah, it's a nice, very convenient, friendly airport. But we are not here to do this, even though I could definitely use a grand adventure. We have one coming up. If you follow me on Instagram at _historychick, you might have seen that I hinted at an upcoming adventure that's going to be quite a kick in the pants. But we are actually going to be visiting the New Hampshire Aviation Museum today. That's right here and has its own cool history. Super excited to check it out. And I have heard that it's like right on the runway and you can actually see planes, and my goodness, coming here now, seeing this, definitely there's some planes over there already. So I'm gonna figure out where we're going here and get situated, and I'll see you again in another second. And even though it looks nice and sunny, and I am so loving the sun, it feels like, what is it, Nathan, 12 degrees?
Yeah.
Feels like 12. So you know, part of the challenge for me lately has been finding indoor things to do that we can get to when the roads are safe, and finding things that are cool that are open. And I'm very appreciative of the New Hampshire Aviation Museum for being open all year and not seasonal like so many things here. So I was really excited, and they are in our New Hampshire Museum passport book. If you guys have been following along, it's a cool book we bought a few months ago that is $30 a person and includes a lot of museums and area attractions. You get it stamped. You can visit each once, and it is covered with the book. And look at, you can actually see a Southwest Airlines plane over there at the gate. So yeah, we are right on the runway here. And it's called the Manchester Boston Regional Airport. Kind of funny. I don't know if a lot of people from Boston are coming up here. Although, like I said, it's much more convenient than Boston Logan. This is about 30 minutes from our house, whereas the Boston airport's an hour, but it's much less chaotic, and I really do hope that they add more flights. So the Manchester airport opened in 1933, and the New Hampshire Aviation Museum was the brainchild of a New Hampshire Aviation Historical Society, opened in 1995. And this incredible building was one of the original buildings from the airport. This is circa 1937. They moved it here to this runway area to house the museum so that they would have a permanent building, because they were just kind of meeting in various places and want a permanent place that the public could go to and have a full aviation museum. So we're going to go in and check it out. Super excited. I do love aviation, and you know, even just the thought of going somewhere. And you know, I really am excited about our upcoming trip. You guys might have seen, like I said on the teaser on Instagram, that it's literally going to be for a day. We're going somewhere far, far away from here for a day. It's a challenge I've always wanted to do. It's a place I've always wanted to go. I'm not going to tell you yet because I want it to be a surprise. But for me personally, I'm just the type of person that always likes to have an adventure planned, even if it's something like that, even if it's short. Just have something to look forward to, especially with this weather. I'm not depressed per se. I'm not a person who gets depressed, maybe a little anxiety from time to time, but not depression, so to speak. But the weather being dark, gloomy, snowy, and cold gets to me. Now, in the past few years since we've lived here, we have had plenty of snow, but most of the days are sunny like this, but warmer, more like 30, 40 degrees, which to me is awesome. It's been like 12 degrees, so it's not like we can go tromping around, don't really want to go for hikes. And when the wind chill happens, it's even worse. Makes it hard to get to places, tour towns, go out and enjoy, and the roads have been precarious. It's just been a very harsh winter, one of the harshest that they've said they've had for a while. And in talking to locals, a lot more like the winters have been in days gone by, which I hear about from old timers all the time, that, you know, winters in New England used to be a lot worse. So, I mean, it could be a lot worse than it is. I'm appreciative for the sun, like I said. But anyways, that's my take on things. I love to travel, and for me, having something to look forward to is really important, and I am really enjoying the sun. Nevertheless, we're going to go inside and check it out.
Well,
Sure.
and it wasn't just over here, because when Lindbergh landed in France, you know, they were worried his airplane was going to get ripped to pieces. There were like 20,000 people sort of went onto the field and round his airplane and everything.
Sure.
But so they were talking about it, but then when Lindbergh, he was doing like a lap of honour, I guess you got fundraising and all the rest of it. And one of his flights, he was going to fly up to Maine, and he got weathered out. He couldn't get there, and so he had to divert. And he wanted to come to Manchester because it was the Queen City, but it didn't have an airport. So he landed in Concord, and that really upset the worthies of Manchester.
Oh, upset them, but it might have been the thing to motivate.
Yes, yes. So they approved spending $15,000 to.
Oh, that's a great story.
Start the airport up.
Oh my gosh.
And that's it in all its glory.
Yeah.
And the two original runways that they graded are still the runways that we have.
And they moved it here
was in the 90s.
95 or something like that?
The terminal, and it went to the end of the hallway, and that was the size of the building.
That's crazy. I love, it's like an Art Deco revival type of.
Yeah, it's known as Streamline Moderne.
It's cool.
And the porthole type windows, it's the whole golden age of transatlantic crossing ships.
Reminds me of like the Burbank Airport. Or Long Beach.
Long
You ever been to Long Beach? That's such a cool.
There's only, let's say,
The
half
Clipper.
a dozen of these buildings ever built, like this style.
Yeah.
This is the only surviving one.
That's so cool. Okay.
If you're feeling like building your own, this is the sort of thing you can do. You can buy a plan from the Experimental Aviation
Oh, it's a kit.
Association. Well, it's not a kit.
Not a kit?
It's just a plan. So
Okay.
you get a full-size plan, and then you buy the bits and fabricate it according to the plan.
Oh, so it's you have to really.
Yeah, yeah. But we actually, one of our programs is that we have what's called a Vans airplane, which is a kit.
Mm-hmm.
It comes, it's sheet metal, and it comes, and then it has to be assembled. And we've got 3 schools now building them.
What would you think the cost would be to build something like this?
Like the Vans, I would say you're looking at $75,000-$80,000 probably at least. And a lot will depend on the engine you put in it and although the vans typically comes with, you don't get to choose the engine, you get the engine that they specify. They don't make it, but it comes complete.
Wow. And of course, cost of materials and everything right now, it's going to be,
Yeah.
Wow.
But so the kids build these airplanes,
That's
obviously
neat.
under strict scrutiny, and the FAA sign off literally every last nut
Sure.
and bolt. But they have a very good reputation to these school-built ones, and they get sold on at a premium. They get about 120,000
Oh,
for
wow.
the built machine.
And they do the welding and everything?
There's no welding on that. It's all rivets.
Oh my gosh.
Just about.
Okay.
It's sort of old school. So anything
That is
that
old.
requires welding will have been pre-welded.
Okay.
So the steel tubing that the engine will be. I'm pointing at this because it's
Sure.
in there. But
Yeah.
the steel tubing frame that the engine will be mounted on, that will have come complete. But no, this guy
That's neat.
did all his own aerobatic, and that's just because the engine isn't converted to fly upside down. So
Oh, darn.
you can do it briefly. You could do rolls and loops and things, but it might go a bit quiet at the top of the loop.
Yeah,
But,
as much as I just told you I have vertigo, but I could fly, I think going upside down would be the limit for me.
Hanging by your straps.
Yeah, I
in
think
an
I'm
open
good.
Top,
I think that would,
yeah, no, that might
Yeah.
be a step too
that
far.
might be it.
Yeah. So each of these ribs, and
Yeah.
it'll be the same for the wing, comes as, that's one item,
Okay.
and there's another one there and another one there and
Yeah.
one at the end, and then you have to line it all up,
Uh-huh.
and you have to, it's pre-drilled, so the holes should line up, and what you do is you line them all up, and to hold them steady you put these things in which are called clecos, so that you can get the whole thing lined up, and then you gradually take each one out and you put a rivet in instead. So it's labour intensive, but it's ideal for
Yeah.
using at a tech school.
Yeah.
And that's now flying. They haven't sold that yet because it's very much a great advert for the programme and
Yeah.
for the schools. So they've got their second one. And then Lebanon High School is doing the third one, and then Farmington High School is doing the fourth one next, and they start next academic year. It take about 2 academic years to complete. So Lebanon had just started.
And these are high school students, like seniors? Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably, I'd say 16 to graduation age.
And it's to get them, well, technical skills and possibly excited about flying, aviation, the industry as a whole, because there's more than just pilots.
It's really
Yeah.
just to expose them
That's
to
neat.
aviation.
So cool. What a great
And
program.
that's-
Yeah.
And I really like it because it's not like we're just guardians of old stuff.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we're trying to make people aware of it and bring it forward. So what
That's
happens is the museum buys the kit and provides it to the schools, and we find the mentors, the people that go in and supervise and guide the kids and help them interpret the plans and
Wow.
that sort of thing.
So this is a major mission of what you guys really are
Yeah.
about and what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous. I didn't know that.
When the Historical Association were putting the Aviation Museum together, they knew about this, and one of the gentleman's grandsons was part of the Historical Society, and they went back to where their barn or whatever their workshop was and found this still there.
Yeah.
And all the jigs for building it. So that's like the wooden patterns they use
Yeah.
to build the, in that case, the tailplane jig is down the bottom there with the metal parts, and then there's a wing rib jig under the glass case over there. And
That's so cool.
and this one here. And then someone else who was involved with it was looking at the tail number on the airplane, which is a very early registration. It doesn't even have now all American planes have an N number, it's an N dash something or other. That just had the number 889 and then whiskey. And he said, I've seen that number somewhere, and he had a buddy who had a barn, and those were hanging up in these barns, the big yellow things propped up on the wall there,
Oh, yeah.
which are actually the wings for that airplane.
Oh,
And the skeleton one
that's
there
funny.
is one that hadn't been covered, so you can
Yeah.
see the construction of it.
Now, this seat is crazy to me because you're basically sitting in a rickety lawn chair.
Yeah, yeah.
That might do it for me, too. Here I am talking big. I'm not afraid to fly. Yeah, there might be some exceptions.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on with our friend here in the basket?
Oh, I can never remember his name, but he's referred to as like the great granddaddy of the Air Force. He was a surveyor, an engineer, and he used to fly a gas-filled balloon. This is in the 1860s.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like that either.
No, me neither. And he realised that he could be a real asset to the Northern forces in the Civil War because he could see what was happening on the ground.
Yeah.
And he finally persuaded the generals that they could really use him. And he used to do aerial observation for him from his basket. So,
Wow.
and he clearly had a magnificent moustache.
And bullocks of steel.
Yeah, that too. She's one of my favourites. She's
Sister
from
Teresa.
Hudson, New Hampshire, which
Okay.
is just over the river from Nashua.
Sure.
Born on a farm there. And she flew, delivered
Oh, she was a
airplanes.
wasp. Okay.
So, they get them from the factory, climb in and deliver them to an active squadron somewhere.
Oh, and sister, that's not being cute. She was a...
Oh yeah, and then after the war, she became a Carmelite nun.
Oh, my goodness.
Took a vow of silence and was in Caribbean type territories mainly. But the WASP after the war were disbanded and weren't recognised as being veterans
Yeah.
because they weren't in active service and they were female.
Sure.
So they tried, what they did was they put something in front of Congress to get recognised and to get people some recognition, because was it about 30, it says on there somewhere how many died. About 30 of them killed, I think, delivering the aircraft and in accidents and things like that. They used to tow targets for gunnery practice as well, which I think is... I wouldn't have trusted those loonies not to shoot me down.
It's not for beginning gunners.
That's right. But anyway, so the WASPs they put this big deposition together, and she was front and centre throughout the war with this. So they wanted her testimony.
So she was an advocate for the rest of the gals.
So they wrote to her and said, could she please come and join them for a week? They were getting the band together as it were.
Yeah.
And so she went to her Mother Superior, and Mother Superior said, regretfully, you can't, because you take a vow of silence. She wasn't happy with that, so she wrote to the Pope.
You're kidding me.
And the Pope came back and said, yeah, you must.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I don't know what relationship she had with Mother Superior after that.
Yeah, it might have been a little awkward.
Silence, so how hard could it have been?
That is crazy.
She was apparently a real character.
Sounds like it.
And all she wanted to do from being a little girl was fly and serve God. They were the two things on her agenda.
You know what? I get it.
So,
that's awesome.
She must have been quite a gal.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Started off with one biplane,
Yeah.
I think, in the 30s. But they had a couple of bad accidents.
Oh.
And this one is the story of one who flew into the mountainside in bad weather.
So is that why this local company kind of disbanded eventually?
No, well, it kept going.
Did it?
It kept going till the 70s, and
Okay.
then I think it was Delta bought them, I think. But there were two people were killed. The first officer, and there was a guy riding in the jump seat who was like a superintendent. I don't know what that meant, but they were killed. The pilot survived, but with head injuries.
Oh no.
But they weren't found for 3 days, and it was on a snowy, freezing cold mountain.
So they were hurt and living on the side of a mountain for 3 days.
And they decided after 3 days they were going to have to walk out. And the flight attendant, sorry, the hostess, we've actually had some of them here when we did a whole thing on their uniforms.
Oh, yeah, that's cute.
And she said, no, we weren't flight attendants, we were air hostesses.
Yeah.
But
Like we used to say stewardess.
Yeah.
That's a no-no now, apparently.
Yeah, but she wrote that with lipstick, just in case someone found the plane after they walked out.
Oh, how scary.
Anyway, as they were setting off, a helicopter came over and spotted them. So they were...
That's miraculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the 5 of them
Scary.
survived. Yeah.
Wow. So I know they're landing on it this year and they're very excited. I did not know.
Yeah, it's the only one.
Alton Bay on Lake Winnipesaukee is the only designated ice runway in the lower 48. That is a big statistic and very cool.
Yeah. And it hasn't been viable since 2021 or 22. It's been too warm because it has to have enough weight supporting capability for the trucks that plough and groom the runway as well as the airplanes, because the airplanes aren't that heavy, really.
Proving my point that it's been a doozy of a winter.
Yep.
Wow. So they actually have, like, is there crew out there? Is it...
Well,
or is it pretty like Wild West, so to speak,
I think it's fairly Wild West, yeah. That's a Cub like I used to fly, that little yellow thing that was just on there. But yeah, I mean, I
mean, is it monitored or it's pretty like every man for live free or die kind of?
I don't know if it's a towered runway. I suspect they'll have a radio monitor on it. But I don't think it's lots of air traffic control or anything. But because I was flying seaplanes and flying them down in Florida, and there any bit of water that was viable, you could land on it, and it was just you picked your own runway.
Yeah.
Which was great.
My parents lived in Alaska for a long time, and it's a huge part of life there.
Yeah. In the Second World War, flying fighters, then he moved on to 4-engine bombers, and then he was in the Korean War flying jets, so he had a very long career. But just look at the
finding
condition.
old kits like this in this condition is a collector's dream, I can tell you. Wow.
Yeah. So and I had a Japanese lady translate what that flag said.
What did she say?
And it was basically wishing the person it was presented to was obviously not him.
Right. That's a souvenir.
You know, a brave and honourable and safe fight or whatever, which is obviously I have no idea what happened and how this guy got it. But.
Yeah. What a fantastic experience. What this museum might lack in grandeur, it makes up for in treasures, and the staff here, our lovely host here, Steve, a Yorkshireman, so kind, so full of stories, energetic, passionate about flight, and the information he gave, I mean, that tour was worth, like he could charge a lot for those tours. They don't. This place is very reasonable. Of course, we had the passport, but my goodness, like, what fun, and like I learned a lot. I hope you guys did too. This has been such a little gem. Just tell that the people here really love being here. They love exciting people about flight. They love the area and the aviation history that abounds. They're eager to share the stories, and it's just such a good vibe in here and just absolutely lovely. So I highly suggest this is a fun place, especially if you have kids or if you're into aviation or flight, or you want to learn something new, or you're looking for something to do in this crazy weather. Look at this. And we're like right out here on the airport. This is very, very cool. Here we've got models of lots of different airplanes. Now, it's not just travel I love. I actually love to fly. And I was telling our lovely docent here, Steve, that, and he agreed with me on this, we commiserated over being afraid of heights, having very, very bad vertigo, but being able to fly with no problem. And I've always found it an adventure, fun, relaxing. I think part of that goes back to my childhood. Because ever since I was a kid, my mom would put me on the plane. And when I was much younger, she would send me by myself from Los Angeles all the way to DC or Maryland to visit my grandparents for the summer. And I would spend the entire summer with there from the time school got out to the time school got back in. But I always looked at that air travel and the trip as like a little adventure I could go on by myself. And I think I just really caught the love of flying, love of air travel back, you know, from the time that I was little. Now, of course, air travel is not exactly what it used to be. And it was a little more glamorous, a little more comfortable. Society was a little more accommodating then than it is now. But every once in a while, when you have a pleasant experience, you can still kind of catch that spirit of adventure in the air. And I love it, something I keep going back to, something I crave. And this place definitely does a good job of explaining that spirit and giving you all the info about local aviation history and the excitement of it. It really is such a cool building. Seriously, they are so kind in there. Like, oh, what lovely, lovely people. And just a wealth of knowledge. Like, very, very cool. So yeah, we are not going to be getting on an airplane and going through the sky today. Oof, it is freezing cold, by the way. But in anticipation of, you know, trips to come and skies to explore, this was a really good little in-between and an awesome thing to do on a cold day. Now, this is a break in the weather, believe it or not. Oh, that wind is cold. We are going to have another string of very dark, icy, snowy days. And man, if you stand just right and soak up that sun, it is nice. But when that wind blows, freezing cold. So there might be a few more days again where there is not a video. I'm not sure. We'll see what we can get to. But I'm really glad that we came here today and were able to do this. A total treat. And I learned a lot. I also really love to support historic organizations, and maybe, you know, historic aviation isn't something that people necessarily think about. I mean, I'm sure people that are very much in that world do, but it's not something that, you know, I get up and think about every day. But, you know, any historic site I like to support, and it's fun to appreciate, and you can learn something. So I think even more so if it's not something that is like your specialty. So this was really, really good. We're going to get back into my clean vehicle and make our way back home. Oh, it's also Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day. I've got my Scottish Heart Luckenbooth pin on here, if you guys can see it. The Luckenbooth, I'll just tell you real quick, is called so because they were sold in Luckenbooths on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, Scotland, and they were a favorite design of Mary Queen of Scots. Well, like Patrick Henry, I know no way of judging the future but by the past. Thanks so much for hanging out, you guys. Looking forward to so many fun adventures ahead, and this was a good one too. So, is it cold where you guys are? Drop a comment below. Do you guys get like seasonal affect disorder or moody, cranky, or cantankerous when the weather changes? I don't really get moody. I just get a little bummed, like I said. It's not like I'm depressed or need intervention or anything like that. It just can be a little bit like Groundhog Day. Okay, what's next? Another snowy day. It's been a little bit, you know, ho-hum. Good thing is I have had lots of time to do research, read, plan, and get a lot of good things done around the house, but there becomes a point when you just want to get out. So today was really refreshing. And again, I always encourage everybody to find the cool little historic sites, museums, and little treasures like this charming place, the Aviation Museum of New England. Total gem. Will definitely come back. If nothing else, just hang out with Steve because he was so sweet and a proper Yorkshireman, very kind, very well spoken, and a total delight. Well, thanks again for watching, and we will see you soon. If you would like, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Smash that like button. That like button like you're Charles Lindbergh going in for a really happy landing. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sorry, I can't keep a straight face. My kid is laughing at me. Okay. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, it was another happy landing. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Another happy landing.